Hey guys, we're here at Blackwood Woodworks. With this month's theme being shop improvement, we're building a drill press table. Let's get started. This project started off as 2 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood at 24 inches long and 20 inches deep. I broke my project down into separate stages and marked out lines for the top. My lines were set at 4.5 inches from each side, and that would be where the top T-tracks would sit. I purchased my 2 tracks in 30-inch sections, so I had to go ahead and cut them down. I marked lines at 20 inches, leaving me with 2 pieces at 20 inches and 2 pieces at 18 inches. Since the T-tracks were made out of aluminum, it was no problem using normal woodworking blades to cut them down to size. When I was all done making my cuts, I had 2 pieces at 20 inches and 2 pieces at 18 inches. My blade left a small burr on 2 of the pieces, so I just took a regular old file and filed down the burr. Next step in the process was setting up my router so that it could cut the grooves to accept the T-tracks. I squared my router to the table, set up a temporary fence, and used the T-track itself to set the depth of cut on my plunge router. When it came to cutting the grooves, I pushed my router tight against the fence, used light pressure and multiple passes to get to my required depth. All in all, it took about 3 passes per groove. Once I had the groove cut, it was time to add the T-tracks. It was a really tight fit, so I took the edge of my mallet and pressed them into place. With the top section complete, I went ahead and moved to the bottom of the table. In order to attach to my already existing table, I had to draw lines at 8.5 inches from each side. I squared the T-track to the back of the table and drew a line. Once my lines were drawn, I just made sure that they intersected with the already existing table. I used the same process as before, routing in the grooves, and stopped just shy of the 18-inch mark where the end of the T-track would fit. Since my router bit left rounded corners, I took a chisel to square them up. With the corners squared up, I pressed the T-tracks into table on the bottom. With the top and bottom complete, I glued them both together. Added some weight and left it for a few hours to dry. With the top drying, I moved onto the fence. I cut 2 pieces of plywood at 4 inches and 1 piece at 3 inches. The total length of these pieces were 24 inches wide. The 4-inch sections made up the top and the bottom, and the 3-inch section was used as a backer board to add more stability. I used the same method as before to cut a groove down one of the 4-inch sections of my fence. Pressed a 24-inch section of T-track into the groove, and the fence was ready for glue. I took the 3-inch section and 4-inch section without the T-track, added a bead of glue, butted them up against each other, and used brad nails to hold them together. Last but not least, I added glue to attach the 3rd piece of the fence with the T-track. Once the pieces were lined up, I pre-drilled and screwed the T-track in place. I then moved on and pre-drilled and screwed the T-track of the main table. With everything put together, I went over all the edges with a light sanding. With the piece sanded, I added a small waste block, drew around it, and routed out a hole for it. With the square cut, I realized I needed a space that I could get my fingers into to remove the waste block whenever it needed replacement. With this project nearly complete, I went ahead and mounted the table. Drilled holes for the back of the fence. And attached the fence to the table.
Well, there you go, a nice little shop upgrade. I added the T-track table so I could have hold downs, as well as stop blocks in the back so I could get easy, repeatable results when drilling holes. Again guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week with a project video.